You ever have a day where you realize the people you take a bullet for would barely throw you a life jacket? That's how it started for me. Late Thursday, son doing that half-hearted thing, deciding whether to stick around or call it early. And there I was on the porch in my slippers, juggling a warm rotisserie chicken and a grocery bag. You know, the everyday stuff that says, this is my house, my home, except suddenly it wasn't. I pressed my hip against my own front door, feeling that stubborn lock like it was daring me to try again, so I digigled, flipped the key, cursed under my breath like that might scare the universe into letting me back inside. But the lock was changed. Deadbolt. My deadbolt. For a minute, I just stood there, holding groceries and the weight of 22 years spent making that house a home. Then the door opened just a crack, and there's Natalie, my son Ryan's girlfriend, peeking out like I'm a stranger. "Oh, hey, you weren't supposed to be back yet." That's what she said. Not even a real hello. I ask, "Why can't I get in?" And she's squirming, glancing over her shoulder like the walls might start gossiping. She steps out and closes the door behind her, drops this on me. "I think Ryan was going to talk to you. You don't live here anymore." Just like that, like someone announcing the weather. My whole world stopped moving, but Natalie, she was already heading inside, mumbling something about calling Ryan. Door locked again, and this time it felt final. So I stood on those steps, holding on to that chicken like it was the only thing tethering me to this earth. And for the first time in a long time, I had nowhere to go. But let me back up. This Ryan didn't just take my house. He took something deeper. And what he didn't know was I'd been through worse and came out standing. See, before any of this, before Natalie, before those papers on the kitchen table, I was a mother. And I didn't become one in the usual way. Back in '96, I was a nurse at St. Joseph's in Jackson, Mississippi, working the night shift. 2 miscarriages and a failed IVF round. And I'd made my peace with being the kind of woman who sent Christmas cards to other people's kids. Until one night, they brought in this little Brian, barely 2, broken wrist, shirt swallowing his tiny frame. Foster mom didn't even stick around. Child services stepped in, but that baby just latched onto me and wouldn't let go. Didn't speak, barely ate unless I fed him myself. You ever look at a child and just know? I filed papers 2 months later. 6 months after that, he had my last name. People called me craziest single black woman, late 30s, adopting a white toddler with baggage. You trying to save the whole system? They'd joke. No, just this one, I'd say. I gave Ryan everything. I never had birthday parties, piano lessons, Saturday zoo trips, a race car bed with sheets that matched. Taught him to write thank you notes, braided hair on his action figures so he'd know how to do it for his future daughter. Never missed a single parent-teacher conference. It wasn't perfect. He had questions, especially as he got older, about why he didn't look like me, why folks stared at us in grocery aisles. I told him the truth: you are adopted, but that doesn't mean you're not mine. By high school, he grew distant. In college, it was just those quick drop-bys, always with a phone in his hand, always somewhere else to be. When my husband Leonard died, God, I still miss that man. Suddenly Ryan was around more, fixing gutters, mowing the lawn, playing the good son. He brought Natalie sometimes. I thought maybe this was healing. But really, he was taking inventory, laying groundwork, and by the time I realized, my name was gone from the deed. That night, I slept in my car 2 blocks from what used to be my house. Didn't cry, not once. Just sat there, hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel, that cold chicken next to me, staring out the windshield at nothing. See, when Leonard died, the hospital tried to duck responsibility, called it a natural complication. But I've been a nurse too long. I knew better. So I pressed, got a lawyer, and 2 years later, I won a malpractice settlement. Nobody thought I'd get $9.5 million. Didn't tell a soul. Not Ryan. Moved it to a trust under my maiden name. Not out of spite, just I knew money changes people. Turns out, I was right. Next morning, I sat in the bank lobby, spirit cracked, ankles swollen, thinking about all I'd lost, but realizing, too, that Ryan had underestimated me. I might not have the house, but I still had resources, still had patience. Booked a cheap motel in Meridian, paid cash, no paper trail. Flipped through my old notebook, found this note from when the settlement hit. Don't let money make you loud. Let it make you quiet. Let buy you time. Ryan thought he'd kick me out. Joke's on him, set me free. But freedom isn't comfort. I needed a plan. I called Doris from the nonprofit Disconnected. Then I remembered CJ, my late husband's oldest friend. Retired lawyer, grumpy as ever. I called. This better be Jesus or trouble. Maybe it's both, I said. Next morning, we met at a diner off I-20. He slid into the booth, looked at me, and said, "You look like hell." "Good morning to you, too." I shot back. He listened to the whole story, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he just said, "He tricked you, but he made one big mistake. He forgot who raised him. Turns out, you can sign a deed, but if you did it under false pretenses, it might not stick." Fraud, manipulation, it's more common than you think. So we put together everything I had nots, dates, conversations, all those years of documenting life like only a nurse can. Then I dropped the bomb on C, told him about the money. He nearly spit his coffee. "You've been sitting on $9 million? Didn't want it to change the way I loved him," I said. He squeezed my hand. "It didn't. He changed. Not you. But before the lawyers and paperwork, I needed to see Ryan one last time. Not the man he'd become, but the boy I raised." I drove up, knocked on that door. He answered in gym shorts, protein shake in hand. "Ma Evelyn, what are you doing here?" "I don't need much time," I said. "Just hear me out." He tried to cut in, but I stopped him. "I raised you when nobody else would. I didn't have to, but I did because I saw a child who needed love, and I gave you everything. You repaid me with a signature and a changed lock." He started to protest, said I signed. "Don't call me Ma if you don't mean it." I told him I wasn't broke, that I could buy this house 10 times over. For the first time, he looked scared. "I didn't know. You weren't supposed to. Love isn't a business." I said I'd spoken to a lawyer, that I just wanted to look him in the eye before it all went where it needed to go. He asked if I was suing him. "No," I said. "I'm reminding you what a real home costs." Then I walked away. 3 months later, the house was empty. New owner, a retired teacher, said it felt heavy, like it had survived a storm. CJ got the fraud petition through court quick. Judge saw right through Ryan's games, called the transfer manipulative. Ryan skipped the hearing. Natalie vanished back to Dallas. I didn't smile, didn't laugh, just let out this long breath I'd been holding for months. Didn't move back in either. Too many ghosts. Instead, I bought 3 small homes in Pascagoula, turned them into a haven for women like me, evicted, abandoned, forgotten. Named it Lynn's Place after my husband. First resident, Alma, her grandson, threw her out when she couldn't babysit. Second was Darlene, lost her house to her own daughter. I cooked Sunday dinners, we swapped stories, sometimes just sat together on the porch, surviving and healing together. CJ visits, jokes about putting me on a billboard, the woman who turned betrayal into a blueprint. I laugh him off. I just did what my mama taught me: plant your feet, protect your peace. 1 year later, I'm sitting on the porch, fleece blanket, cup of tea, sunset painting the sky orange and gold. Alma's upstairs crocheting, Darlene's humming in the kitchen. I feel still for the first time in a long time. That morning, a letter came. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Ryan said he messed up, didn't expect forgiveness, but wanted me to know he saw what he did. I read it twice, put it in the back of my Bible. Not for forgetting, just so I didn't have to relive it. Forgiveness isn't letting someone off the hook. It's setting yourself free. You can give everything and still lose someone, not because of who you are, but who they decide to be. That's not your shame. Tonight, as the crickets start up and I breathe in this quiet, I know a home isn't just a roof. It's the people you choose to shelter. And I build a new one from scratch, no paperwork required. So if any of this hit you deep, if you've loved, lost, or let goshar this with someone who needs it, real love can't be stolen. Real mothers don't fold. And real power, it doesn't scream. It rebuilds quietly from the ground up. Now tell me, what's your story of right, wrong, and the messy middle ground we call justice?